Hello, Missoula, and welcome to the Last Best Beer Show. This is Ryan Newhouse, your guide to a great glass of beer. You are listening to us on Newstalk, KGVO, 1290 AM and 101.5 FM. Hope you've had a great week. I'm excited to be back here for our second show, and there's always something great going on in Missoula. And the first thing I want to tell you about is the Pumpkin Beer Fest coming to the Dram Shop. Now, the Dram Shop is down on Front Street in Missoula next to the Pearl Cafe and the Trailhead. So the Pumpkin Beer Fest gets started this Sunday, October 25th, and it will run all week until Halloween proper, which is next Saturday on October 31st. Now, these are not your father's pumpkin beers that will be on tap, and this is a great event. What you get is the pumpkin beer package is $28. You buy it at the Dram Shop, and you get an exclusive 16-ounce Dram Shop Pumpkin Beer Fest glass. And you get an event card, so you can sample 6 of the pumpkin beers they will have rotating on tap throughout the week. You do not have to drink them all in one sitting. Show up, drink your beer, enjoy it, come back another day, and have another pumpkin beer as well. So the lineup that they have at the Dram Shop for this Pumpkin Beer Fest is dynamite. So here's a few that will be on tap. From Missoula's own Great Burn Brewing Company, they have a pumpkin beer. Nice local beer. From Red Hook, Out of Your Gourd Pumpkin Porter. A few beers from Elysian Brewing out of Seattle. They do a great job with pumpkin beers. You can find the Dark of the Moon Pumpkin Stout, their Imperial Pumpkin Ale, and a Punkachino Pumpkin Ale. From Phillipsburg Brewing Company has 5 Phantoms, which is a pumpkin barley wine. I know I am going there. And then there's a few others that will be rotating throughout the week. Now, don't forget, when you're there for the Pumpkin Beer Fest, and if you just want the flight and you just want to try the beers, you can do that for $10. You get 6 5-ounce servings of pumpkin beer, and you can take notes on it. But next door at the Pearls Cafe, you get a pub grub menu. So there's special menu items coming from the Pearl Cafe that are expertly paired with the pumpkin beers. You can order off the menu right from the Dram Shop, and it's available from Monday through Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m. And you can call in your order, and they'll bring it over to the Dram Shop. Now, on Sunday, October 25th, there's something for the kids from 4 to 5 p.m. Bring in your little spooky chef and have them decorate a haunted Halloween house. Check it out. I hope to see you there, and let's have some pumpkin beer. I am joined in the studio today by my friend Rad Eisnagel. He is a beer connoisseur, all-around good guy, and director of media and marketing for Lolo Peak Brewing. Welcome, Rad.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good as always. Every day's a good day, especially if there's beer involved, right?
Always a good day with beer.
Yeah. So you and I have known each other for some years now. We've had some great beers together, and you and I share a couple of passions, namely, well, a few passions. Beer for sure, good food for sure. I know you do a little birding.
A little bit of birding.
Yeah. And happy to talk about that. But one of your more recent, endeavors or things that you fill your time with and do a good job at is working with the great folks down at Lolo Peak Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. So maybe let's tell our listeners a little bit about what's going on at Lolo Peak, what you do, and where you guys are going.
Well, we've been open since last July 4th, so getting towards a year and a half. I came on early on as kind of the beer ambassador. That was my first title I took. I
love that title.
It's still around, but we kind of went with director of media marketing. People understand what that is. But the idea of the ambassador is to rally people to good beer and to good food, and the idea of providing a place in Lolo that wasn't there, that didn't exist. It really wasn't a gathering, a gathering hole inside of town.
Right. But a beautiful place for sure.
Yeah, so I came on back when it was just a patch of dirt still. Went from the hole to the building to actually being open. And kind of what my role is just that, to be the ambassador, to be the evangelist of beer and food within the brewery.
I love that title. I think I might have to co-opt that myself. I feel like an evangelist sometimes here, talking about it's fun. I mean, what I've done with writing about it and blogging about it, and now we've got the Last Best Beer show. There's a lot of good things to talk about beer, and and what we see is that beer is directly tied to that community where it is. And that's the idea of local.
Well, and it is. And the great part about the brewery culture is we're able to provide a family-friendly, which I'm not always the biggest fan of people co-opt that phrase, but I like it that, we can say we're a family-friendly, people come in, they enjoy only 3 pints. We can't serve them that additional pint. And then they can have a great meal. So the kids are there, the parents are there, and then everyone can go home before people over and vibe. You just don't have these problems. So, with that 3 beer limit, we're able to create this atmosphere.
It's a welcoming atmosphere for sure. It's a beautiful location down there. I love taking my family down there as well. And so talk about the construction. You said you were there since it was a pile of dirt, and it certainly is not that anymore. I mean, it is a beautiful building.
Yeah. So when Al and Pat first bought the property and we're intending to build a brewery, it was part of the old gravel pit that sits above the highway there. At first they showed me a patch of dirt and said, "We're going to build a brewery here," and I went, "I don't know if that's going to work." But
did you tell them that if they build it, they will come?
They had more. I have to admit, they had much more of that ethos than I had at the beginning.
You don't look like Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
that's right. It is.
But as the construction went on, we started late summer, did an overwinter construction. Just like every construction project, we had the inevitable delays. Moved the brew house in the end of February. Got that cranking with our head brewer, Paul Royce. And then we started producing beers, putting them in the bright tanks. And then when we opened, I think we opened, we had 8 of the 12 taps going the day we opened.
Wow, that's outstanding. You were talking about beer. So what size brew house do you have down there?
We're at a 15 barrel.
Okay.
So not gigantic by any means. But it allows us to produce with one brewer without doing double shifts and all that sort of thing. We can get up to around 1,000 barrels a year. Excellent.
So in that sort of current 1,000 barrels that you're producing, is it sort of just holding steady at the moment, or what do you think's going to be down the line for getting your beer to more and more people who love it?
I think that we'll edit that out. As everyone knows, there was kind of a big splash. We're in the process of building a second facility downtown by the Osprey Field.
Yes.
That will put our beer more in the Missoula market, even though we do draw from Missoula, definitely. But it puts us in that market, so we're going to have to up production, whether that means a second brewer going on off days or if it's an overnight brewer. That will have to happen.
Yep. And to clarify, that would be your second location would be a brew pub, for instance. You wouldn't be brewing at the new location. You'll still be brewing in Lolo. Yep. Still be Paul Royce down there, who is known to the Missoula brewing community and all around. He's still making good beer. But you're what it would be, when are you guys breaking ground, or have you broken ground on that new location?
The thought is to not do an overwinter construction project again.
Yeah, it gets cold here.
We believe it or not, one of our owners, Al Zapata, is also a general contractor, and he has his guys on another project of 47 units for the overwinter build. So it's definitely not happened this winter, but expect us to break ground, when the weather turns warm in the spring.
Yeah. Well, back to the beer, because it's always the best part to talk about. I was down there right before you guys were debuting your this fall's Oktoberfest, this version. You brewed one last year. Yep. You're brewing it again. Good traditional Marzen lager, is that right?
That's the whole idea, is to do really within the style Oktoberfest, a little higher ABV, good malt backbone, that typical Marzen, that big hefty beer.
Love it. Let's run through what are your seasonals on tap right now that we can find at the brewery, and then what have been your mainstays? What have you guys found that people really like to drink more frequently?
Yeah. Well, we have 6 mainstays. They have stayed almost the same since we opened. There was only one switch for a mainstay. So we have our Three Needles IPA, Double Eagle Scotch Ale, our Alpenglow Wheat Ale. I can't believe I almost forgot that. Our Buffalo Trout Golden Ale, and then we also have our Pale Ale.
Excellent. And your porter has switched a little bit, or is that more of a seasonal now?
The porter started off the gate really strong. I don't know if people kind of got used to it. Now they're going on the other beers. So it's on the cusp.
What I'm hearing you say is people don't love porter as much as I love porter, right?
The funniest thing about porter is I had the typical chauvinist thing about porter. Men's beer, dark and and so I started looking at what customers were ordering the porter. 2/3 are women. If it's dark, 2/3 of it are ladies.
Yes. And
one of our customers, a gal lives in Lolo, she has this great quote. She says, "If I can see through it, I don't drink it."
I love that. I want to meet her.
Yeah. And then for our seasonals right now, we have our River Bottom Brown, which is the first time we've done a brown ale. It's a pretty hefty, big brown ale. We got our Oktoberfest you mentioned.
Yep.
Our Fresh Hop Community Pale Ale. And then we also have the brown is on nitro right now.
Excellent. Well,
and I almost forgot the double IPA. The Sun Pillar double IPA is on right now too.
Outstanding. Did you guys do a fresh hop ale this year?
We did.
Excellent.
We are actually doing 2. One's released right now, which is our Fresh Hop Community Pale Ale, and then we're also doing a Fresh Hop Double Red that'll be out in about 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Outstanding. And I assume we can get on the Lolo Peak Facebook and Twitter and everywhere and find out
and website and smoke signals and whatever you need, you can find out the info.
Excellent. And we'll put links up to those on the Newstalk KGVO Facebook page so you can find them there as well. One last thing to cover here is let's talk about the way that the brewery and the communities coexist. I mean, you guys are in a unique position down in Lolo, and I know there's ties to the owners in Lolo, but maybe how do you see communities and breweries together?
Every time I look at someone who's either a brewery owner or a brewer themselves, they're always a community member first, and so they keep that in their business. They make community an essential part of their business model. So instead of you don't hear customers, you have friends. You have even at the least you have acquaintances, you have people you know their background, you know their story, and it just builds that cohesiveness between what should be the business element and what should be the customer. They really start to meld. You sometimes I forget who our customers are and who the employees are. Because they went in the same. They become family.
Yep. That's beautiful. That's the best part. I mean, I've met so many people there, new people, and then, of course, that's where I take my friends, and that's where I meet my friends. But it's been a pleasure talking to Rad Eisnagel from Lolo Peak Brewing Company down in Lolo. Check it out if you haven't. Definitely try the Oktoberfest and all the other beers they've got going on. So, Rad, thank you so much for being with me today.
You're welcome.
Stay with us here on Newstalk KGVO 1290 AM and 101.5 FM for the Last Best Beer Show. This is Ryan Newhouse. Here's a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the Last Best Beer Show. I'm Ryan Newhouse, and this last weekend and before in Missoula, we had the Montana Brewers Association Brewfest and conference. Now, I was there at the conference. I got to talk a little bit about what I do here with the Last Best Beer Show. I got to talk about a couple books that I wrote about Montana beer, the Montana Brewery Passport, and my blog, montanabeerfinder.com. But way more fun than that was attending the MBA Fall Festival at Karis Park last Friday night, and they had over 150 Montana-made beers, and I did not try all of them, I promise you, but the ones that I had were outstanding. Now, all of these Montana breweries came over to Missoula to share their beer. We got to see breweries that we never get to see in Missoula. Meadowlark Brewing Company out of Sydney came over. We got to try some great beer from Uber Brew out of Billings. Mighty Mo Brewing Company came down from Great Falls, and they even had a little tap takeover at the Dram Shop last Wednesday. But this festival is a great time. We had great weather for sure, but it's a great time to meet the people that get to make the beer. And being a Montana-only brew fest, it was really nice to see all of the breweries come over and support that. In addition, our local homebrew club, the Zoo City Zymergist, got the pleasure to judge this brewfest. So they sampled all 150 plus beers, and they had the daunting task to pick some winners. So I wanted to highlight a few of them because you can find them in and around Missoula, and they deserve a little bit of recognition. So if you're up for a Belgian ale, Flathead Lake Brewing Company's Swimmer Ich Saison won Best Belgium. If you're an amber ale fan, Tamarack Brewing Company's Yard Sale Amber walked away with that award. Now, DraftWorks, they've been making good beers and award-winning beers. DraftWorks won Best IPA for the Pineapple Express Tropical IPA. So you should get down there. I know it's on tap and it's delicious. Now, the best specialty ale goes to Phillipsburg Brewing Company for Badfinger Imperial Stout. And the best stout goes to Missoula's own Big Sky Brewing Company's Ivan the Terrible. Now, this year, Ivan the Terrible has been put out in 12-ounce bottles. It is a non-barrel aged version of their seasonal release. And ever since that's happened, that's been a standard stout for me. It's been really good. Now, the best of show, this is the one that really took home the grand prize, is the Tamarack Brewing Redemption Red Ale. So if you get down to Tamarack, either the brewery up in Lakeside or the brew pub down on Front Street in Missoula, try that Redemption Red, and you know that it was the best of the show. This is Ryan Newhouse with the Last Best Beer Show on Newstalk KGVO. I am on location this week at Bayern Brewing and the new Edelweiss Bistro. I am joined by Jürgen Nollert, owner of Bayern Brewery, and his sales manager, Jared Spiker. So welcome both of you guys to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the menu first. Let's talk about why you went with good traditional German food to go with your German beer. What was that was an easy decision, probably.
It was an easy decision because, for one thing, we have German beer, and we wanted to offer to our patrons some food. So, I mean, it was the closest thing is to provide some real German food. I mean, being from Germany, I know what it's supposed to be like, and I know what it's supposed to taste like. And I thought we'd start out with a limited menu with some classics, some staples that everybody probably recognizes or at least heard of. Along those lines, we also wanted to have something that goes hand in hand with our philosophy of having sustainable business practice, manufacturing practices, and so on. The name Edelweiss, by the way, that is a mountain flower that really grows only in the most inaccessible, remote crevices, way up high in the mountains, 10,000 feet and above. So the Edelweiss also, come early 70s, became almost extinct due to acid rain and a bunch of other circumstances. And also now the Edelweiss is flourishing again. So that's a good sign that, so I really like to identify with that Edelweiss. A, it's my heritage, and B, it symbolizes also that things are reversible, that you can make a difference, and that little flower can prevail.
Yeah.
So, or anywhere else, so I like to have local suppliers. I'm a local business. I like to deal with local suppliers. Now, for example, where we are getting our beef and our pork from, I mean, those are local suppliers from Superior, Montana. I mean, our Wiener Schnitzel. made with pork. But those pigs, they come from Whitehall. We are actually, even with our pricing, we are trying to be very, well, we are a brewery. Every brewery in Germany, they have a place where people can go and eat. That was the other idea behind it. Mm-hmm. And we want to keep it as reasonable as possible. And I believe you can do it, and you can still be a sustainable place. So as we go, we just have our emphasis of getting everything local. Certain things have to be imported. Like, for example, the pickles, what you see here, they come straight from the old country. My live mustard, my all-time favorite hot mustard. I've never found anybody around here that could make something like that. So that comes in pails too. But even the stuff from over there, I know for sure, if it comes from Germany, they don't use corn sugar in anything, or corn syrup. For one thing, in Germany, people use beets for getting sugar. Mm-hmm. For another one, thank goodness, the Germans are very much into Europeans against genetically modified foods. Mm-hmm. As that battle has been going on forever, people are a lot more aware of it. And I'm certainly aware of it. I don't want my kids to eat that, mm-hmm. and I don't want my customers to eat it either. Mm-hmm. So here, I can bring my kids in here because that's the same stuff what I'm cooking at home for them. Right. Actually, now I have somebody else doing it for me, and it saves me some time. Win-win all the way around.
Yeah. And it's done in a commercial restaurant. I mean, you guys have put a lot of time, thought, and money behind getting this. But maybe you want to do something like a beer dinner, right? Maybe we've talked about exploring those options too.
That idea came up because I've seen so many beer pairings. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the idea of a beer pairing is really not all that new. Okay. It's just my blunt Bavarian heritage kept things a little bit simpler. I'll give you an example. There is nothing in the world that tastes better than a good German Bavarian Hefeweizen with a piece of cheesecake. That's my favorite pairing of all time. We used to ride our motorcycles all the way into Italy for the afternoon, have Hefeweizen and cheesecake, and ride back to Germany. Another really good one is, for example, like our dump truck summer bock. It has, we have a certified malt that we import straight from Germany, from Bamberg. Okay. And it is a certified malt that gives the beer a slight champagne-like aftertaste. Mm-hmm. Well, whether it's your mimosa or strawberries, whatever works well with champagne works really well with that beer. Tell you what, strawberry pie or strawberry rhubarb pie and a half a liter of dump truck, that's heaven. So, interestingly, people have probably been pairing food with beer for a long time. They just never gave it much for thought. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, that has reached a certain level of sophistication. I mean, that is just unbelievable and incredible.
So, Jared, you guys have now got the bistro. You've got great beers happening. What do you see? What role does the bistro have in the Missoula community for your patrons? And what's going to make it a little bit different to come here to have beer and food? What is it that's authentic and unique for you guys here?
Well, one thing that we've always believed in is our number one marketing tool that we have here at the brewery is our tasting room. So what we're trying to do is create something as authentic as our beer is. Everything that's brewed at Byron is according to the German purity law, and it's not only good beer, but it's good for you beer. There's no extra additives in it, and that goes along with the food as well. So Jurgen's created something to where not only are you going to get like an authentic German lager here, but you're also getting an authentic German meal to go along with that food. And it's just some of the new things that's going out there. Is you're seeing a lot of these little bistros and cafes and stuff like that popping up, and this is Jurgen's in a facility to where we can grow as a business. If say perhaps the laws would change and allow us to brew more, but until that happens, to grow as a business without that changing, we just added a new entity to make some good German food to go along with good German lagers.
Excellent. Well, talk about the beer for a moment. What seasonal beers do you guys have on tap right now? What are you featuring?
Well, right now, earlier in in the month we released our Winter Martin, which is Groomer, a beer that we originally brewed for Snowball's 50th anniversary. We did it specifically for them. Had the help of some local bars in town to put it on tap. Got a really good vibe about that beer, so we turned it into one of our winter seasonals, and it's gone great for us. It's an easier beer to consume. It's at 5.6%, so you don't have to worry about like our Doppelbock, which is a heavy 8.4%, really nice malty flavor, or even our Doppelweizen, which is our face plant, which comes out next month in November.
Everyone looks forward to that one.
Yeah, both great beers, and this is a fun time to be in the brewing business for us, because we have 3 just phenomenal seasonals that come out that will run through the winter months that a lot of people look forward to.
Excellent. So for getting food and beer, when is the bistro open?
So the bistros are going to be open from Tuesday at noon to 8 o'clock every single day, and Tuesdays through Saturdays.
Tuesday through Saturday. Great. So we will post up a picture of the menu. You can see what's available here. Look for that on the Newstalk KGVO Facebook and other places. But fellas, I appreciate your time, and the food smells good. It looks good, and thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for another great show. Join us next week on Newstalk KGVO, 1290 AM and 101.5 FM. This is Ryan Newhouse. Until next week, Missoula, enjoy the beer.